All right, welcome back to the Athletic Exchange. This is my first interview with someone that I really don't know, so this is exciting. Let's see how I do today. So, Mr. Tyler, I want to say welcome to the Athletic Exchange, and are you ready to get started?
Yes, ma'am. I'm excited.
All right. So let's start with who you are, where you're born and raised. Let's get started there.
Okay. Thanks for having me on. My name is Tyler Kendall, and I am the owner and head trainer of Foundations 850 Incorporated. I'm from Campbellsville, Kentucky, a small farming community in central Kentucky. I grew up playing football, baseball, basketball, just everything to do with sports and the ball and that kind of stuff. Played football and baseball and ran track in high school, and then played football at a small college in Kentucky as well.
Oh, nice. I like that. So you're well adverse, like you're all over the place. When did sports start for you? Like, as far as like, did you start with rec league? Did your parents have you playing rec?
Yes, ma'am. I was probably. I had some older siblings that were quite a bit older, and I mean, I remember as soon as I was young enough to be walking, I probably had a ball in my hand, as my children are as well. So, um, I probably got into to rec t-ball probably at like 5 years old or something like that,
Okay.
and just it came from one season to the next. Went from baseball, football, basketball, and then just keep around the circle kind of thing.
Yeah. So you said you played football in college. So when did you start to like really focus on that specific sport to like get you ready for that?
I think it was probably my sophomore year of high school. I started seeing that I was having more success on the football field, and um, baseball was probably my first passion. But I felt like I stood out more at football where I grew up, and um, I think I kind of started kind of prioritizing football, and I ran track a little bit to get faster for football and that kind of stuff. So kind of started putting that probably at the top of my priorities my sophomore year, I believe.
Okay. And with that, let's talk a little bit about the recruiting process because I'm not going to ask your age on, on the
Sure.
live, but as far as
Sure.
recruiting, I know for, me in my time and back in the day, like Fort Walton's kind of small. So if you weren't really like top notch, then there weren't a lot of things coming your way. So how was it for you?
Absolutely. So this was definitely a few years ago, and before the internet was, crazy and that kind of stuff. So it took a little bit different route to get exposure and that kind of stuff. Um, Also, I think whenever I was playing ball, there wasn't as many camps, and it wasn't known about. Hey, athletes need to be at these college camps, getting reps and getting exposure. So, if you wasn't, dominating your class, dominating your school, dominating your county and your region, you really wasn't going to get, you know, much attention your way. And when where I grew up, most of the schools, there was a lot of smaller schools. 2A, 3A, 4A. So there's more, it was a lot of talent spread out. And
Hmm.
I think it was kind of definitely a lot different not having the resources that athletes have today as far as
Yeah.
the internet and that kind of exposure, having all the camps accessible, having the resources that are available today. But um, I think it was kind of like, now there's a lot more direction and a lot more accountability and a lot more options to choose from in that particular sense.
It is. Yes. When so are you from like a country area or
I
like were you
am. I am.
okay, so like the whole Friday night lights thing, was that a big thing? Like everybody's just going in town is going to the games?
That's right. It was Friday night football was a big thing, and I didn't really come from big football powerhouse communities, but the community still backed the football football programs. There was a county school and a city school, and there
Mhm.
was good rivalry, and it was like lots of friends at both schools. Come rivalry week, nobody was friends,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the whole town was there, kind of thing. And it's still like that, I think. And they actually kind of built up programs to where these programs are a little bit more prestigious at this point. So now the rivalry is pretty strong.
Yeah, yeah. So back in those days, I remember when it was I cannot never say this word, rivalry week. We TP'd the houses and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Was that something y'all did over there?
Yeah, so that was definitely a thing that was going on. I think one thing that we did was we would go and like chalk people's cars and write on like
Yeah.
the window chalk and that kind of stuff, and saran wrap people's doors
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. So yeah, we was definitely all into the shenanigans and that kind of stuff.
Right, right. All right, so it seems like okay, I love your shirt. It says "Love the grind." So it seems like you had work ethic back in the day because you knew to be involved in other sports to get yourself prepared for what you really wanted. So, did you get that work ethic from like your parents or like you said your older siblings?
Absolutely. I definitely had old school hard parents that they definitely loved me, and they knew to instill values and principles in me. My father wasn't quite the athlete, but he grew up on a farm, so I got strength and conditioning slightly different than most people. uh,
Yeah,
but he instilled, that determination, that perseverance, that grit and that tenacity that carried over into sports and the world that I'm able to
yeah.
coach as well. My mother as well. She was actually an a non-typical collegiate athlete. She played collegiate tennis at a much older age than not out of high school athlete. So she played tennis in college in her 30s, and
Okay.
so
Wow.
yeah. So she, I come from parents that were tough and mentally tough and a lot of grit, and then my siblings as well. I mean, they uh, they got that and was able to pass that along as well. That's something that I try to mimic today whenever I'm coaching athletes. I feel like that's definitely an element that is missed today is toughness,
Say
mentally and
that.
physically. So.
Yes. Okay, I love to hear that. So you got your degree in college?
So I went to two different colleges,
Okay.
and I went to Western Kentucky University out of high school. I was a preferred walk-on.
Mhm.
Um, went there. I quickly realized that um, I I was going to see I would see action quicker somewhere else.
Yeah.
I was a tackling dummy at the Division 1 level, and I quickly found that out. I went to Campbellsville University the next semester and transferred to an NAIA school, and
Mhm.
then I focused. My degree was on business and marketing, and then I played collegiate football there at Campbellsville University.
Okay. Because of course, like getting that degree is the most important thing, and playing a sport is definitely a privilege. But I respect that you went somewhere that you felt like you knew you probably weren't going to get a lot of playing time. So let's go somewhere to utilize my skills, and everybody wants to play, so why not do that for
Absolutely.
yourself? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was one of those athletes that was coming out of the high school that I wanted to be a Division 1 athlete. That
Yeah,
was my goal.
that's all we hear
Yeah,
nowadays. That's all we hear.
D1 or bust. I'm going to be a
Yeah.
Division 1 athlete. And so the school that I was going to, Western Kentucky, it was going to be their first year Division 1A. They was in the probationary period, and they just won the national championship at the Division 1 AA level. And
Okay.
so I was moving up into a brand new D1 program and thinking, okay, I'm going to walk right into this Division 1 football play school. I wasn't prepared mentally or physically in that aspect. I think a lot of athletes, we have two problems these days. I think we kind of compare ourselves to others and compare ourselves to others, their their skill set, their goals, their dreams, and also their blessings that they have whenever we have our own course. My
All right.
my process, turned away from the Division 1 scale, but played football. I played collegiate football on a smaller level per se, but I also played against guys that's played professional sports, and I've played against guys that set records and had the touch feel test for professional athletes as well. So it's like no matter what level you find yourself, there are amazing athletes.
Yes, yes, and that's the thing that like I always want kids to know that it doesn't mean that you're not a good player because you don't make it to D1. Like no matter what, you're gonna compete for a championship, your conference championship, and then nationally. Like that's every level, and there's some skilled athletes all over this country that are all different levels, and it doesn't mean that you're not good or you
Absolutely.
failed. You know?
No, absolutely. And another thing is we're all developing at different rates. So it's like
Yeah.
uh, no two 18-year-olds are exactly alike. I mean, we're all
Hmm.
on different scales, and even at with so many different reclassifications and this, and a senior could be 19 and a senior could be 17. So
Yeah, that's
we are
true.
we definitely have our own timetables for development, and that is definitely rushed with athletics and sports because it is competitive. And I think with all the changes today with the transfer portal and name, image, likeness, I think coaches are under pressure to win right now,
Mhm.
obviously. And um, I think it's very understandable to feel more confident in the performance of a 21 or 22 or even a 23-year-old versus that of an 18 or a 19-year-old.
Yeah. I was just talking about that with somebody because, that 21, 22-year-old has that incentive of having maybe 1 or 2 years in JUCO or 1 or 2 years at a different college. So they're going to be on the market and get picked faster than, a senior coming out, senior class or something like that. So,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
it's almost used as an internship. I mean, it's like work experience. I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
somebody
that's
has
good
two.
analogy.
I mean, somebody can have a resume of 2 or 3 years of college football experience, and whenever you put them beside a very talented freshman, 18-year-old freshman, it's like, well, this young man has a better resume and proven experience. So I think
Yeah,
it definitely is changing the landscape for sure for many different reasons.
for sure. And I didn't even ask what position did you play?
So I played linebacker. I played everywhere on the field on offense growing up, but defensively I always played linebacker, and then college I played linebacker. So I
Okay.
try to live life like a linebacker.
What does that mean?
I would probably say that means a never quit attitude. I got to get the job done. I got to make the tackle. Nobody else is going to get it done.
Mhm.
You know, um, I would like to think of myself as a leader and somebody that is a mesh that's going to kind of hold the team together, but
Mhm.
also do my part. Do my part, kind of
Oh,
thing.
yes. Okay. You speaking them gems. Love it. All right. So then, what did you do right out of college?
So I've done a lot of different things throughout the years. Right through my transition out of college, I have ran part of my family's farm. My dad had a farm and passed away, and so I ran part of the family farm for a few years.
Rest in
That
heaven.
was cattle and that grain farming and that kind of stuff. So I've done the farm boy kind of thing.
Woo.
I've done some construction work. That's right. That's right. Um, I've done I've used my marketing skills a little bit and worked on the business side of things and worked in marketing and advertisement. I've worked in sales. I've worked in restaurants, serving and bartending and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Tried a few different areas of entrepreneurship, but the last season that lasted the longest, I was in I guess a services field where uh, I cleaned carpet, furniture and tile, and then air duct cleaning. And this position actually was kind of a temporary position, but I was I was highly employable, and I was helping the company grow. So that gave me extra incentives, and it gave me a good promotion. And at that point in time, I was able to use my skills from what I learned in that business, and I was able to kind of push and formulate my own dream, which was being an entrepreneur and working with youth athletes. So
Love that.
It
And
uh,
that's
it
when
was
we're gonna. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
it was a process. It was kind of like one of those things that I was training athletes on the beach on a Sunday one day, and I was donating time, just giving free training away to a small group, and I was trying to think of myself, what am I supposed to do with the rest of my life? And it hit me like a
Yeah.
wall. It was like, this is it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what we're about to get into. But before that, how did you get to Destin or Fort Walton?
Okay, so whenever I was finished up in school in Kentucky, one of my biggest directions throughout my whole life was in the military, and at that particular time, I was kind of faced with an option that I was planning on going with the military, and I know my family was kind of wanting me to express in some other options, and so we looked into Florida as opening up a fishing charter business,
Okay.
and so
Shout out to
we
my homegirl Gabrielle.
that's
She's a fishing captain.
okay. Go Gabrielle. So yeah, I came down here. We started fishing charter, and about 3 months later, the BP oil spill took place. So it
Oh,
wasn't a great time for that.
yeah.
And with that being said, it just time and learning experience, and that goal, didn't work out, but it was able to formulate new goals, kind of thing. But that's just
Right.
kind of how it always is. Everything's kind of trial and error.
It
Um,
is.
it's like whenever I'm coaching, the only failure is quitting or not applying your best effort, kind of thing. Like, we're just going to go back to the drawing board and try something else, kind of thing. So,
I heard that. Perseverance, man. It's like life be life in, but you can't stop, like you got
absolutely,
to continue climbing.
for sure.
All right. So we got Foundations 850. Where did that come from? Well, you said where it came from, like where it kind of started on the beach, donating your time to kids, but where did the name come from and like how did you get it started?
Okay. So we initially started Foundations 850 in January of 2022, and
Okay.
it was, kind of like a side gig kind of thing. It was like, okay, I know I'm going to be working with athletes, but I already have another small business career kind of going, and it's going well, and my energy is on that, but I'll have a side gig and something that I can grow and kind of donate and push. And throughout this process, within the first few months, I'm training more and more athletes, and I always help my son with his volunteered at assistant baseball coach or basketball or football coach for the team. So I'd already built up some market and niche in the area of youth athletes, and I just seen that there was a lot lacking in the area. I mean, whether it's parents are very busy during the day, that kind of stuff. Parents working to support their families, single mother households, kids with living with grandparents. There's just a lot of people. Well, and everybody, even your household that does have mom and dad home. It takes a village.
Mhm.
Youth and athletes and everybody else need to hear the same principles and characteristics that we're trying to promote them, but they need to hear them from other messengers. It's like I have a 12-year-old son, so I know what it's like to be dad, and the message is correct, but the messenger, I'm dad. So that's part of the reason why I have a job, is that I'm able to reiterate those messages that mom and dads are trying to coach at home. But I can be the coach. I can be, whereas you have to be mom and dad, I can be,
Yeah.
coach and mentor. And it's a completely different type of relationship with different type of boundaries that the athlete can absorb more from. I mean, even
Mhm.
my own son, it's like sometimes I have to send him to other coaches and stuff, and that it takes a village.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
athletes need multiple coaching and multiple teaching and that kind of stuff. So the foundations came just from um, I just really liked the idea. Well, I see some coaches and they grab an athlete and they want to start working, some advanced skill set of, some NFL stop type route running releases with a 6-year old kid, and I'm like, we need to work on some proper mechanical, fundamental,
Yes.
basic, just the basics. Let's
Mhm.
master the basics. I mean, uh, and you could probably look back and ask any of who we consider the goats of their craft, whether we're talking about Kobe and MJ or LT on the football field or anybody. It's like they got great at mastering the basics.
Yes.
Um, and so that's kind of what I push. And not to say that everything's bland and boring, but we start at the bottom and we work our way up like a pyramid kind of thing. And so that's kind of how the brand came. And then with 850, I know I love the 850 setting. I'm not from here, but um, it is an awesome place. The Emerald Coast, and there's tons of athletes around here. There's so many good athletes. I mean, from Navarre to Panama City, even Pensacola, Panama City, everything in from Destin and Fort Walton and Niceville and South Walton and
Yeah.
Crestview. There's so many good athletes. Freeport is like this whole area. There is a lot of potential,
Mhm.
and I just wanted to kind of put a resource in here that I didn't have whenever I was a kid. I want to be the coach that I needed. I like to think of myself as that old school toughness coach, but with a new school love approach.
Yeah.
It's not exactly. I feel like coaches can't coach exactly how they used to coach 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I had some great coaches. I'm grateful for them, but I think the kids are slightly different in some aspects. A lot of it do with parenting and culture and the internet and that kind of stuff, technology. But um, whenever I grew up playing football, even as in a sixth grade setting, it's like, hey, you don't want to be here, get out of here. Don't let the door.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
Uh-huh.
now it's kind of like I feel like if you say that, you're going to lose half of your team. Like you almost have to take that approach slightly different. Maybe not. But um, I just think there is a difference, not so much in
Mhm.
the individual, but how the individual is being developed, if that makes sense.
Yes, I
So
definitely understand. I definitely understand, and I like that your emphasis is, starting from the bottom. Fundamentals is so important in every sport. Um, and like you said, like even with basketball, like I'll see kids come out and the first thing they want to do is shoot a three, but they can't
absolutely,
even do a layup or left hand layup or whatever. So it's just like, come on, like we're gonna get there, with trust the process.
I probably got my son in the other room. He's probably hearing that, and I've probably said it nonstop. It's like we got to be able to dribble left hand and get a left hand layup in before we're dunking and shooting half court shots.
Exactly.
For sure.
So with your Foundations 850, is it generated for a specific sport, or are you taking all kids for all sports and working foot? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, great question. So I would consider myself a performance training coach.
Okay.
So, kind of whatever your goals are, speed and agility, power, strength. I would say when we work together, most of the athletes that work with me, they probably seek me out for speed and agility.
Okay.
Lots of times, I'm going to pair that up with power training, like vertical and horizontal power, vertical jump for it depends on the athlete where we specialize or focus our attention. But basketball players, they're wanting to work on that vertical. Anytime
Mhm.
we're working on top speed, we'll also work on the vertical or plyometrics and that kind of stuff as well. So um, it initially I was kind of more confident with working with just football and baseball, and then more basketball players. And I work with players for skill work as well, but I'm kind of getting out of that. I'm just kind of getting into a gym, a small indoor space in Destin,
I saw
and
that.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you so much. So definitely excited about that. Getting kind of out of the one-on-one work so much, unless it's like, there's a couple pro athletes that I'm actually kind of in the mix with working with, and then some college athletes that are going to be coming back for some work in between their seasons and that kind of stuff. But I am setting up groups to create competition and mentorship. So I feel like you know, in the younger setting, they thrive off of the group training from what I'm seeing. And I've done a lot of private training, but I feel like there's an element that's missing. I mean, whenever there's just something that you can't substitute having somebody else, produce the competition right there beside one
Yeah.
another. And even like a high school and a middle school athlete training simultaneously, that mentorship flowing up and down kind of works. A lot of things that we don't necessarily can't quite measure all the time, but I think those are important as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's super dope. I like that because it's like if you see somebody else doing it, like man, I could do that too. Like I got to
For
step my or I
sure.
got to step my game up, or it gives me like that mindset. Okay, I need to be working at this to get to that. So
No, I
that's
mean, if you can see it, you can be it, kind of thing. And it's like, okay, I got this senior out here, and he just hit his PR, and of course it's 20 inches higher than yours. But hey, let's get your PR. Let's go, get out here,
mm-hmm.
let's have fun, let's compete.
Let's
And
do it.
yeah, absolutely, and that produces a lot of great results as well.
What's your age? Like, where do you start? When can they start training with you? And are there females involved? As well, or
Yeah. So the age range, I'm open on age range. Whenever I was traveling, I was a mobile trainer before I got the gym acquired. So I would train in different cities, and for the most part, most of the athletes I worked with were usually in the middle school and high school age range.
mm-hmm.
Although um, I would say athletic performance training and then youth athletic development, so that could be at any age. I've worked with some athletes that have let's say certain types of disabilities or conditions that they're trying to navigate physical fitness. So even they might not be playing a particular sport, but they are
Mm-hmm.
they are athletes, because I feel like you have two choices. You can be athletic or you can be unathletic, and those are your options. So it's like, even if you're not playing team baseball or team basketball, it's like, I would want you to consider yourself an athlete, and then diagnose your physical fitness goals at that setting. It's like, that way everything becomes functional.
Yeah.
So even like, I have athletes that I've worked with that their primary goal is to get a lead role in theater,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that our training is going to produce confidence. At the end of the day, everything we do, whether we're running or jumping or lifting a weight, it is to create efficiency and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And that translates well over to that too. Children with ADHD, or even anxiety or Asperger's, or other spectrums that they fall into, I've seen them see remarkable results in a lot of different ways just by implementing physical fitness. And I'm a hard coach, so it's like, wherever we're at, I'm going to push you to a next level,
Yeah.
and I'm going to do that with love. It's like, hey, we're going to get in here and work, but we're going to leave here better in some aspect. Every day 1% better type thing.
Yeah.
I
I
also
like
work with
that.
adults. I do work with adults. It's like one of my athletes I work with. He's 42. He's in my
Mm-hmm.
42U athletic, and
42 you.
yeah, that's what I say. He's my 42U player, and he actually coaches lacrosse, and so it's like, in that aspect, I'm a personal trainer,
Yeah.
but we're moving athletically. I mean, even though he's older than most athletes, he, like myself, our goal is to be able to move longer, and we're trying to play ball with our grandkids. So we don't go to the gym and just move weight, slow and stuff like the majority of people. We get in here and train like athletes. We're trying to move fast and move powerful, and we're trying to set PRs at vertical jump and that kind of stuff. So plus, it gives it another element, and not so mundane to approach to training as well.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Um, so what would you say, like, do you have any core values? You know how like when you have a business, like you have a mission statement or like, standards of what you want your athletes to be or know that you're bringing to the table. Do you have that? Like what's your
Absolutely. There's a lot of different. First and foremost, I would say I want to work with anybody that wants my help. So,
Mhm.
some coaches are like, well, we work with only elite athletes or this and that. I work with some athletes that are in high school and they've already got their college scholarship signed and they are at the top level. And then I work with some athletes that are very, very developmental and
Mhm.
anything in between. Whoever I can help, I would be glad to help.
Mhm.
With that being said, I think there's three things that I probably say most often than not. One is love the grind. Um, if you want to be great at something, you have to love getting better at it. We're going to come in here and we're going to go 100% and we're going to get 1% better every day. And we're just going to stack up consistency kind of thing. And you just got to love getting better. And it's not always going to be easy and fun. But we're going to love it. And if we can have that mentality and be grateful, kind of like we don't get to train. I'm sorry, we don't have to train. We get to train.
Mm.
That perception will will embrace
That's the
more
word right
success
there.
in life.
Yeah.
And then I also say progress, not perfection. Wherever we're at, we're just trying to get a little bit better. So I mean, failure is not hitting the mark. Failure is not a bad time or not getting the lift, but failure is quitting. Failure
Mhm.
is dropping your head down, that negative body language, that kind of stuff. So it's like our perception, our how we navigate through these trials and obstacles. That's the progress that we're really looking for. And and then last but not least, I say trust the process a lot, which I mean, I'm not the originator of that by any
Yeah.
means, but it's kind of like I used to hate hearing that all the time. Anytime I was ever in a tough situation, so trust the process. It's part of the problem. I hated that,
Mhm.
but it is. I mean, it's when you're in here sweating, when you're in here, tired, when you get beat in a one on one, when you get an injury, when you lose, like all these things, they don't have to be failures. They can be part of the process. They can all be learning tools. They can all be the thing that sets you apart from the next athlete if you use it right, kind of thing. So
Yeah. For
I try to
sure.
promote type of characteristics and principles as well as many others.
Mhm. With you talking about the kids that, may drop their head or might, feeling they might be feeling down or not just in a mood to even train, like what is your tactic to boost that morale in the mental game?
Sure. Well, I work with a lot of different athletes. Some athletes come in here and they are ready to go. They have that motor ready to run and they are just go, go, go. And
Mhm.
it's definitely easier to work with those kind of athletes for sure. And then I do also have the athletes that everything in between, whether some days it's just a long day or a long week, or I do have athletes where, you can see that mom and dad are giving them that push.
Yeah.
And there's a particular age to where that's necessary. I mean,
Mhm.
my son, excuse me, at 11 or 12, I mean, it's not always going to be like, oh, I got to go love the grind and get better today. Cause I'm not always like that. It's
Yeah.
not always, we need that push. We need accountability, that direction and discipline. Um, so I usually, whenever I can see it early on, lots of times it's either a younger, less motivated and less disciplined athlete, which that's why they're there.
Mhm.
We're here to pick up discipline. We're here to pick up some motivation, and that is my top priority as a trainer and coach. I'm there to give them initiative and give them some passion a little bit. And how I would do that is try to incorporate the physical aspect, whether it's speed or power or strength or just a sports skill setting, but I would try to make it fun. I would try to
Mhm.
make it competitive. I would try to make it challenging to where their cognition is involved and they're into it. Um, for instance, like one of the first things I do whenever I get a youth athlete is we get a dynamic warm up going, and lots of times people start checking out. Then the
Yeah.
basic, the stretching. Oh, here we go. We're stretching. We're shuffling. We're doing karaoke. So all right, now I get them, and we got tennis balls, and we'll do a little tennis ball drill for hand-eye coordination, and
Mm-hmm.
very basic, but it just they're not going to get that at football practice or baseball practice or basketball practice. It's just a one-on-one
Mm-hmm.
little game, but it gets their mind thinking, it gets them reacting, and then I try to take it in another direction, and I try to keep things moving. But at the end of the day, whenever I grew up, like I try to be that coach that I needed. I needed to get
Mm-hmm.
faster as an athlete, so I'm like, hey, coach, how do I get faster? Well, go run down to the field goal and back 10 times. That'll help, I'm sure. And I'm just like, well, no, that's not gonna. Nobody's
Mm-mm.
gonna do that. That's not how you train acceleration and top speed. Uh,
Yeah.
that's not encouraging. So instead, oh, what do we need to do? Well, we need to get faster. We need to get more acceleration. We need to get more top speed. Okay, I know how to do that, and let's make it to where it's competitive, fun, and challenging. You know, versus
Yeah.
hey, run down there and back.
Right. Right.
That by creating variables of whether it's catching a ball or let's compete with a time or compete with an athlete or a different game setting. Especially
Yeah.
with skill work, it doesn't have to be down and back. You can add in a lot of variables with a basketball or a football and make it pretty challenging, but fun as well.
Even just your standard cones, you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna take a little pause, play a little game real fast, and then I have a few more questions. Then we'll be out of here.
Awesome.
All right. All right. So this is this or that because I don't know you. I just want to see like with different things, like try to learn you a little bit better. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say like generic things, random things, and you just pick this or that, or you can say both.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So this first one came because I just had this sandwich. So a PB and J or a ham and cheese.
Ham and cheese.
I like PB and J. I had a PB and J.
I'll go with the PB&J. I mean, I could say both, but I'd probably prefer the ham
Ham
and
and
cheese.
cheese. All
Yeah.
right. Gatorade or Powerade.
Gatorade.
Okay. Because you're in Destin, do you like swimming pool better or the beach?
Ooh, I'll go with both. I mean, I probably hit the pool up more just because it's convenient and that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. I mean,
Mhm.
and like I, being so close to the beach, it's like you got to be grateful for the beach and you got to make time for it. But you know how it is, like living here when you're working and stuff. It's you're not on vacation and you can't hit the beach up every day
Right.
like I planned to whenever I moved here.
Yeah. And
You
it's
know,
so much work. It's
for
so
sure.
much work. Oh my gosh.
The kid
Okay.
is like they get sand on the car roof and everything.
Everything. Okay. Pizza or wings?
Ooh, both.
Yeah.
Probably
Okay.
pizza. I'm sorry, probably wings slightly above the pizza, but
What's your
both.
favorite flavor?
I go with buffalo, but I like
Okay.
salt and vinegar too.
Okay. I never had salt and vinegar. Try that. Okay. Nike, Under Armour, or Adidas?
I usually go with Nike and then Adidas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uno or Phase 10?
Mm, I grew up more with Uno.
Okay. Um, because you're a trainer. Fruits or vegetables?
Fruits. I love sugar, so it's all I gotta have the sweetness.
Okay. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
For sure. Texting or calling? Do you prefer?
It definitely depends. I mean, like it seems like nowadays, like if you call somebody, nobody's even answering. It's
Right.
like if somebody calls me, I'm like, "Uh-oh, is everything okay?" I don't even know if I want to man. It's like it's an emergency, and I don't even know if I want to answer. I
Yeah, right.
feel like I get quicker response on texting.
Yeah. Driver or passenger?
Driver.
Okay, since your mom was a tennis player, Djokovic, Federer, or Nadal? Ooh, I hope you
Yeah.
say the right answer. I hope you say the right answer.
So I feel like the right answer is Agassi. Before all that,
Oh, okay, okay. That's fair. That's fair.
yeah, I was slightly a little above those. It's like I don't. I mean, that's tough. I'm not a huge fan in that aspect. It's like I have so much, respect for all of them because they're all at the top of the game. But in
Okay,
that,
just pick, sir. Just
yeah,
pick.
I go Nadal.
Oh,
Is that wrong?
oh, that's wrong. That's
What's
wrong.
what's the right answer?
He has a habit of picking his butt before he serves every single time. But he's very good. I like him though. No, he's very good. But my guy is Federer.
Okay. No, I like
Yeah.
Federer too.
But
And
no, all three of them,
I still
they're
have to
good.
go with Agassi at the end of the day, though.
Yeah. I respect that.
Yeah. And
Okay.
to be honest, even before that, I go with Venus and Serena to keep it real.
Okay. Those my girls. Those my
Yeah.
girls. Okay, dine in or dine out?
Ooh, down out.
You like to dine out?
Yeah.
Get out the house. Ooh, shoot. Comedy or horror?
I can do both, but I like comedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the last one, because you are from the country, do you like the country or the city better?
I like the country. I mean,
Yeah.
I like to do different things and I like to move around.
Mhm.
But, you know, country versus like metropolitan area for sure. I mean, I go to the
Okay.
city, but as far as like living, I think country's it's nice to have a little privacy a little bit.
Right. Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
Yes,
Got to
ma'am.
know you a little bit better. All right. So we're on the bottom half. Um, do you think that faith and sports go together? Like, what is your aspect with
Well,
that or
that's an
perspective?
awesome question. 100%. Spirituality is a big part of my life, and I try to implement that in the coaching. I mean, even whenever I'm consult consulting with a parent athlete, I tell them that we are going to work on improving physically, mentally, and spiritually, and that can mean a lot of different things. In a group setting, like if I have a large group, for instance, I have kind of started homeschool PE classes,
Okay.
um, and these classes aren't particularly set up for your day to day athlete per se, but more along your student athlete that is homeschooled and doesn't get a lot of socialization and physical fitness. And these classes have really thrived and actually growing really well. And we pray at the beginning and end of these classes. It's it just seemed like you know quickly that was just what was supposed to happen. And we try to be very
Mm.
open minded. We want to invite. We're not trying to exclude and that kind of thing. So it's we definitely keep a mind for the majority of our group and that kind of thing. Whenever it comes to the homeschool communities, the most of these families probably are making the decision not to go public school with political and religious influences. So I think that is easily to transition. When it comes into like my private training, for instance, I usually talk with families up front. I usually can kind of get a feel on their religious preference and um, where they're at as a family because I don't want to come off as offensive in any realm towards
Yeah.
anybody. I want to make it a safe place. I want to for one I want the athlete to be comfortable with me or any other coach that they work with to be able to talk about other things, to be able to come to us about things that they can't always go to mom and dad about.
Yeah.
Uh, and I want to be that bridge, that safe haven. Um, and also, I do know what it's like to grow up with religion, but that religion being confined to a box and your mom and dad's God, you have to be exactly this way in this church and this, and it's like, um, let you experience your own religion, your own spirituality, and you know, I will expose you to, what I believe and what I have found to be true in my life. And, you know, this is what that is. I'll show that to you and, be any type of moderator in that, but necessarily not self impose that on anything kind of thing.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
I grew up where it came to, there were Christians that were very inviting. And then
Mhm.
there were Christians that were almost, demeaning and exclusive and can almost turn you away from
Yeah.
uh, such a thing. So it's like that is what I would try to keep it away from. And, you know, keep an open mind and definitely promote spirituality and that kind of growth as well. And I try to offer um, services that you might not necessarily see the cross on the front of the window, but within a short period of time, you should know that your child is in a godly place by a godly
All
man.
right. Yes. I like that a lot because for for myself to be intact, I know that my mind, body, and spirit has to be aligned. When one of those is off, I can feel it definitely, and yes, I like that a lot.
100%.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about parents real fast because you deal with a lot of parents. You coach, so you deal with them on so many different levels. Um, so parents can be involved, and that could be a good or a bad thing. It could be good and bad. I've seen both.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, as long as you've been doing this, what have you observed over the years as far as parents can make or break their kids.
For sure.
It could be times where you could see the pressure.
Hmm.
Every time I make a mistake, I'm like,
Right.
so what is your viewpoint?
From what I've seen, there's so many things in both directions. I think it's very important if a parent is able to be around the athlete, to be in the stands, or to be an assistant coach, or to be a part of the process as much as possible. I think that support goes without parallel. It's like,
Mm.
you know, if a child looks up and they see one parent in the stands, they have this much confidence. If they see two parents
Yeah.
in the stands, they have this much confidence.
Yeah.
So there's really no way around that.
Mhm.
And then, from everything I've seen, the children, the athletes that their parents are coaches, assistant coaches, they are going to get more development. Now, that is a whole nother conversation because then we're opening up the daddy ball issue. And I try to be the anti-antagonist for the daddy ball issue, although it's like I fall into the category itself because that's kind of what pulled me in. I could be an assistant coach for the Little League team and help out my son. And um, where I kind of took those positions, I took those as internships, and I really kind of that meant a lot to me because I would try to get my son to work with the other coaches, and I wanted to work with the other kids, and that's
Mhm.
where I was able. That kind of set me apart a little bit different. Where um, I'm going to make it harder on my son. Some
Mhm.
dads will put their kid in the starting lineup, make their kid be the quarterback, give them the tie, if you will, to where knowing what I know, I'm going to try to take the conflict. I'm not going to take the conflict out, but I'm going to monitor the conflict and let my son navigate through the conflict.
Mhm.
Now, if I can give some help, absolutely. Um, but as parents, we naturally want to make the conflict go away. We want to, oh yeah, the coach is a bad coach for not starting you, or yeah, that the team, those kids are older because they're taller and better, and it's not fair.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
there are truth to all these things, but at the same time, there's no fairness. And at the end of the day, when you step out onto the basketball court, you know as well as anybody, it doesn't matter who's older, who's taller, whose parents have more money, who's got Jordans and who don't. It's going to be who's going to play and who's going to perform the better, who's going to create the most value to their team.
Mhm.
That's who gets the most playing time, and now that's who gets the most money. It's
Yeah.
trickling down so quickly. So it's like, with that being said, I think I think it's imperative to promote the player without taking away the conflict. So I mean, I think sometimes lots of times the kids get promoted through high school and they don't really ever learn to compete without dad helping the whole time. Oh, that can
Mm.
be a big problem.
Yeah.
So it's like even with my own son, I'm there. I get to coach. I work on some speed and agility, that kind of stuff. I help with the middle school program a little bit, but um, he needs to be coached by other coaches,
Yeah.
um, and the other coaches' kids, same thing. We have even if you're the perfect dad and you have the perfect direction in sight, you still need. It still takes a village, if you will.
It does. It does. Is it easy for you or easy for your son to differentiate coach from dad, or in
No,
you dad from coach?
we work on that daily. It's a big different process versus like a 7-year old and 12-year
Yeah.
old. And I think in the years to come, I think we'll navigate that a little easier. We
Mhm.
talk about that. Um, Also, I think the hardest part is not necessarily for some, but is for me. It's I have to know that I'm dad and not the coach and trainer. To where I try to. Sometimes I expect, okay, we step into the into the gym. It's a go time. The light switch is on. It's boom. Um, to where now I'm like, okay, I know that the dynamic is slightly different. Hey, we're about to train, so let's change that transition right now. Let's get ready to go into coach and player mode, and I'll see you in an hour. Uh,
Yeah.
and again, I can lose that setting quicker than him, because even with my son, it's like I expect more. I hold a high standard. So um, this is something that I have to work on as a coach and as a dad. It's like I try to explain, hey, dad is just like being a head coach, so I'm just the head coach. It's that's
Yeah.
how I kind of relate it. But I can't ever not be dad, although I try to
Yeah.
be at times, but it's a two-way street. It's got to be difficult for him and for me both.
Yeah. I'm not a
I
parent
think,
yet, but I just can't imagine how it's gonna be, the dynamic, because I know that there's some things that I've seen that I don't want to do, and but yeah, I can't wait to see because I know it's gonna
well,
be,
it's fun. It'll be awesome. No, for sure.
yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah. I used to think, I was like, I thought that playing sports was the best part of my life. And then there was a transition to where I thought that all that was gone.
Hmm.
And the wonderful part about it is that I have found that from the coaching standpoint and from the father being involved standpoint, that this side is even better. So
Oh
there's
wow,
even more
that's
to look up for.
nice. That is
Yeah.
nice. What's
Yeah.
your
There's
son's
more to
name?
look forward to. Yeah.
What's your son's name?
His name is Ryder.
Okay, shout out to Ryder. He gonna see
Yeah.
this and be like, "That's my dad." I
Yeah.
love that. What is the fulfillment that you get from training these kids and then seeing them excel? Because you said you have some college athletes that are going to come back with you and stuff. What do you get from all of this?
There's really nothing parallel that is intrinsically rewarding than to help. It's like at the end of the day, one of my main sayings is let's crush those goals together. Whether you're trying to get if you're trying to get that college scholarship, if you're trying to become a starter on the varsity team, if you're just trying to make the team, it's like, hey, let's do it together. Now what do we do? Now what do we need to do? Do we need to get faster? Do we need to get stronger? Do we need to jump higher? Do we need to work on our hands? Or what is it? What do we need to create value to right now? And then that's what we're going to do. And
Hmm.
we're going to get better today, and we're going to come back tomorrow and do the same thing.
Yeah. All right. Last two questions. Who's your favorite athlete of all time and why?
Tough. When I thought about this one, I could go in so many different directions. I'm gonna go with Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
Um, he's from Kentucky, Kentucky boy. He's got all kinds of amazing quotes and sayings, and I know that we are so different, but there's a lot of aspects that we are alike. I mean, he was groundbreaking. He was pivotal in what he believed, and he stood up for what he believed. He was a powerful leader, and he was very spiritual in nature. And I feel like with the principles that he believed in and stood up for, I feel like the world would be a better place if we all had more of him in us in that sense. So I'll go with
Okay.
Muhammad Ali.
Okay. And who was second on your list?
Ooh, okay, all right.
Because you said you had different aspects. I just want to see like which direction
Yeah,
we're going.
man. So man, because it's like I would have to go off of probably genres of sports and then new players and old players, and it's
Oh,
like
okay. It's
there's
so
tough.
many. Yeah.
I know. It's like, I mean, if you get into basketball or something, you go who's the top. You know, it's a big argument whether it's MJ, Kobe, or LeBron. But I kind of fall in the area where I grew up with all three. I grew up with
Mhm.
Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron. So it's like I see their greatness in so many different aspects. I can't really hate on any one of them. Uh,
Exactly.
in that particular sense, with those three, I would go with Kobe just because I was probably watching more basketball during Kobe,
Mhm.
and I do think a man's legacy is bigger when he passes away. So it's like,
Man.
you know, so
Yeah.
I'll throw Kobe out there on that one.
Okay. All right, last one. Well, yeah, this is kind of the last one. Sorry. What advice do you have for kids that want to get to the next level, whether it's from rec league to middle school, middle to high, high to college? Like, what advice do you have for kids?
Um, don't get stuck in the comparison game, because we're all developing at different rates. Uh, there are 14-year-olds dunking, and
Yeah.
they are overshadowed by 12-year-olds dunking.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's crazy. Athletes are very strong and very fast and very powerful. Um, we're all developing at different rates. The best athletes at 10 and 12 are not necessarily the ones that are the best athletes at 17 and 20.
That's
So we're
true.
all developing at different rates. So trust your process. Um,
Mhm.
chase your dreams. Your dreams should scare you. They should be scary. Get out there and go. Go for something big because um, the short dreams, they are the easy ones to quit on. The dreams that aren't very scary, we can quit on those, and then we can fall into a life of mediocrity and average. And average is the enemy.
Mhm.
I think we got to remember that because we also find ourselves in a culture to where we just want to blend in, and I think we should try to stand out.
Oh, I like that. Yes.
Yeah.
That was good. And we'll end with what's next for Foundations 850 and Coach Tyler.
Um, who knows? More athletes. I'm trying to help as many athletes that I can work with. Trying to help you guys crush your goals. Um, you know, big goals for my son Ryder. Baby girl Thea. She's 2 years old. She's gonna have a big athletic career ahead of her as well.
Hey, Thea, we got a girl in the yes.
Right, that's right. So she's still picking what sports she's gonna play. She'll probably play them all, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, just helping athletes as much as possible, and helping the Foundations 850 brand grow.
All right. And where can they find you? Instagram, you Facebook.
Yes, ma'am. Facebook, Instagram, www.foundations850.com. Check us out.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the Athletic Exchange, taking your time to talk with me. It was so nice to get to know you. And I
Yes,
wish you nothing but greatness in your future and the athletes that come to your way. I hope that they, get blessed with your presence and your coaching and your teaching. And I always end with love your neighbor as yourself. So that means don't forget to love you.
awesome. Well, thank you so
Thank
much. This was
thank
awesome.
you. All right.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.